All right, in this video, we're going to be building an HTTP server. We're going to be using CodeCrafters IO, which is a website where there's a bunch of courses that walk you through how to build different apps. There's a lot of real-world apps here, and that's why I think it's a good resource. For example, you can learn how to build Redis from scratch, SQLite, or Git. They have a bunch of different languages that you can build these in. You can learn a new language like Rust, or get better at an existing language such as Ruby or Python. So we're going to be using this to go through the tutorial. Go ahead and click the link in the description to go over here, sign up for a free account, and then once you're logged in, you'll see a screen like this. Go ahead and click build your own HTTP server, and we are going to start this from scratch. Okay. So in this repository here, we can read the instructions and we can select our language. So let's go ahead and make sure we select Ruby as our language. That will create the repository. And then select your level, whatever level of familiarity you have with Ruby. And then select how many times you want to practice per week. And select if you want to keep yourself accountable. Okay, once you're done with that, we'll set up the repository. So go ahead and open your terminal. Copy these commands here. So copy this one. This clones the repository. So change your directory to where you want your repository to live, and then clone that down. Okay, so go ahead and copy and paste that and clone that directory. It should have automatically CD'd into that directory, so you should be inside of this directory. You should be at that path. Next, you can go ahead and push an empty commit. So go ahead and push that, and you should see the UI over here automatically reloaded and said we completed that stage. So this is what the cycle is going to look like. We're going to make some code change, we're going to push it up, and then the UI over here is going to detect that commit and automatically complete the step or fail the step if we haven't passed all the conditions. Let's go to the next one. Next, what we want to do is open up this file with our code editor. So if you're using VS Code, you can just copy and paste this, and that will automatically open up the code in your code editor if you have that installed. I don't have it installed, so what I can do is just do open up Visual Studio, and then go ahead and open that folder, and then we can open that server file. Okay, so this is where we'll be writing our code here. So if we go back here, we can mark that as complete. Now all we have to do for the first lesson is just uncomment the code. They already have the code written for us, so let's just uncomment it and our test should pass. So we'll come back to our VS Code, uncomment these two lines, save it, and then if we push it up, we should be able to complete this step. Okay, so we can just commit the code. We'll copy this command, and I have to add this option. You probably won't have to add it. Okay, once we've committed, we can just push, and that'll push up to the repo, and now we can see the tests are running right here, and all our tests passed, so we can mark this stage as complete and move on to the next stage. All right, so on this task, we can expand it. We can run our tests like this. We can run that locally if we want, just to see if they pass before pushing up. So that's good, but let's go to the next stage. All right, so in this stage, we need to modify this script right here to return a 200 when a request is made to the server. So let's go ahead and implement that solution. So we can see right here, we can expand the task and we can see a little bit more details. We can see information about how HTTP responses are formatted. They're separated by this CRLF, which is a return and a new line. So you have the status line, 0 more headers, ending with CRLF, and then optional body. So you can see that in this stage, we're expecting this to be the response. These are the separators, and there's no body and no headers, so those are empty. All right, so let's go ahead and implement this. Okay, so let's take a look at our existing code. So what we have is this socket module we're requiring, and we're just making a new TCP server on this port right here, and then we are accepting connections on this server. So let's go ahead and look up TCP server, the docs for that. So we'll do maybe TCP server, look up this class, and we can see that we can put stuff to this client. So we can just log stuff to this client right here. If we do an infinite loop, and then we accept a connection, we can just log stuff to the client like this. So it makes sense that we could just put a line to the client. So we could just do a client socket.put, and then we can format the string like this, which is how HTTP works. So we could go ahead and copy this and paste that right there. Okay, so this should be enough to pass the tests. All it's looking for is this 200 response code. So that should be good enough. If we go ahead and commit this to, if we go ahead and add all of our changes, git commit response, okay, and then push, we'll see if our tests will pass. So if we come back to the UI, we can see that the tests are running right here, and we can see that they failed. So something is not working properly. And if we go over here, we can see the output of the tests. So they received no content when it should have received this string here. So let's go ahead and figure out why that is. That's because we're putting put here instead of puts. We go ahead and update that to puts and commit our changes. Okay, so this time our test should pass. Cool, and we see them pass. All right, so if we go back to our CodeCrafters, we can see that we passed our tests here, and we can mark this stage as complete. All right, so far we have an HTTP server that just responds with the 200. That's all it can do. And now we're going to start building on more complex features to it. So now it looks like we want to be able to extract the path from the URL and then use that to determine which endpoint we're going to be calling on our server. So let's go ahead and implement that. If we scroll down, we can do the next stage. We can expand this task. So now it says it'll either extract the URL parameter and respond with a 200 or a 404, depending on the path. So we need to extract that, look at it, and then return a 200 or a 400. And this is what an example request is going to look like. Okay. So the request has a method, request target, HTTP version, and then this CRLF that marks the end of the request. Okay, so what we're trying to do is get access to this, look at it, and then change our response depending on what that is. Okay, so let's go above this line and let's try to look at the requests coming in. So if we go back to this, we probably want to put this in a loop so we can send multiple requests. So let's go ahead and change that and put it in a loop. So all we did was just have an infinite loop here that connects our server, that accepts and waits for a connection to the server, and then we could just get rid of that line. Okay, now every time it connects to a client and a client sends a request, let's look at the response. So if we scroll down in the docs here, so we can see that this server that gets returned from our accept request is a TCP socket object. So if we look at this TCP socket, we can find out how to read lines from it. So it looks like we can do s.gets. So we have a TCP socket here, and then we can do client.gets, and that will read a line from the socket. And it looks like we can say line, okay. And then we can go ahead and look at that line. So we'll say puts line, okay. And we can run the test locally just to see what is being printed out. So we can say line like that. And if we come back to CodeCrafters, we can see we can run the tests like this. So let's go ahead and do that. So we can copy this and just paste it here. And then we can curl our endpoint. So if we copy that, we can copy this curl command, and we can go ahead and send a curl to our server. And you can see that we got an empty reply from the server. We can see we got an error, so we need to change this to client, like that. And then we can run our program again and make a curl request to it. See, this time we got back a 200. And if we look, we can see our logs right here. So this was our log line. So this is the line that we're reading. So it looks like we just need to split this. So we can just say method, we can say line dot split so we can just do line dot split. We'll split on the spaces here, and then we'll take the second item, that will be the path. Okay, we can say if path equals, and we can go check what we're looking for here. Okay, so it looks like if this path is anything but the root path, we want to respond with a 404 error. Otherwise, we'll respond with a 200. Okay, so we can say if path not equal this, then we can just do client.puts, and we'll respond with a bad response here. So that'll be a 404, else we'll put this 200 that we put before. All right, great. And we need to change this as well. So this will be not found instead of okay. All right. So let's go ahead and restart our program and make a request. And we can see we get a 404. And then if we make another request with just the root path, we get a 200. So it looks like it's working properly. Let's go ahead and add our changes. Push those up and see if our tests pass. Great, so they passed. We'll mark this stage as complete, and then we will go to the next stage. So now we need to respond with body. So in this stage, we'll basically just echo the string that comes after this /echo endpoint, and we'll get the response body and return that. So if we read this, we can see that the response body is a string and has a content type and a length, and it's formatted like this, so it comes after this first CTRL. We just put the body right here, or excuse me, we put the headers right here that contains information about the body, and then this final part is the actual body. Okay, so let's add another if here. So we'll do else if path equals, so we'll do, all right, so we'll do path.include echo. So if echo's in the path, we want to handle it differently. So we'll make an if statement for that, and we'll say we'll extract the value from this path. So we'll say to echo equals path dot split slash, and it will take the second element, so this will be what we want to echo, and then we can return the body, and we'll do a 200, okay, like that, and then here we'll put the headers so we can see what the headers look like over here. Go ahead and copy these headers just like that, put them right here, and then we'll say right here we'll do the to echo dot length, and then we'll do the actual body right here, so we'll do another back R back N, and then right here we actually put the thing we want to echo, so we'll say to echo. All right, save that, restart our server, make a request. This should return 200 still, but now if we add echo hi hello, it should return echo hi hello. So it looks like something is not working here. So it should have recognized echo, it should have gone into this. And let's check here. Let's put a print statement here. Restart our server. Okay, so we have to tweak this. We can say if path equals this, we want to do our 200. Else if path has echo in it, we'll do this. Else we fall back to 404. So let's restructure it. That's just a little better formatted to handle all the cases. Okay, so we got a 200 response back. And if we check our logs, we can see that we went inside the echo. So let's test and see if that works. All right, so we'll push up, come back to CodeCrafters, and see if our tests pass. All right, and it looks like they failed. So we can see received int length 4 echo, error expected CRLF after header value, debug true. Okay, so it looks like we misformatted something here. Let's make sure we're formatting everything correctly. Okay, so we're missing, I see. So we need to have these control R, \R, \N after every header. So we have it after this one. Okay, so we need another / like that. Yes, so we have 2 at the end there. Okay, gotcha. So that should fix it. And let's see if we pass this time. Okay, so we failed again. Okay, so we're returning echo here, so we need to actually return the second or the third value here. All right, so third time should be the charm. I think we can get it to pass this time. Great, so we got it to pass, mark that as complete, and go to the next stage. Okay, in this stage we want to check the user agent header. So we'll have to learn how to read the headers off of the request, and then return that value is set to. Okay, so if we come back here, we can create another endpoint. It says else if path.include user agent, we'll do this user agent path here. What we want to do is get the header values. So if we can look at the request that's being sent to our server. Okay, so if we curl our request, we can see that there are no headers being sent. But if we add headers, so let's go ahead and add a header to our curl. So you can actually just copy this and use this as a test. Okay, so if we just curl with this, so we can see that the headers are going to be the second item to read. So we can come into our user agent. We say headers equals client.gets. Okay, and then we can put those headers. So we can say puts headers. We'll restart, make another request with those headers. Now we should be able to see those headers. So we can see the host here. So we might want to do a loop to read all the headers, or we can just read it multiple times. And so we could say this would be our host, and then we can do client.gets, and this would be header 1, like that. And we can make this a lot better, but this is just rudimentary example just to test how things are. So we'll say header 1. Start our program, make a request. We can see there's another header, header 2. Print that one out. Okay, and we can see that this third header is what we're looking for. So now we can extract the user agent. So we can say agent equals header2.split, and we can split it by colon here, and then we can take the second value, that will be our agent, and then we can copy the response from echo and just put in our agent here and our agent length, and let's go ahead and see if that works. Okay, so let's test if that works. Let's go ahead and add those changes and commit them. Okay, we'll see if our tests pass over here. Okay, our test failed. Let's see why they failed. Looks like they received no content. Expected HTTP version, received nothing. Okay. Let's print out the agent just to see what it is. Maybe we're not splitting that string correctly. Okay, so we are getting the string correctly. It looks like that header was empty, so we are reading it incorrectly here. So let's go ahead and switch this to a while loop to better handle the headers. Okay, so we can say while read Okay, so what we can do here is say we'll continually read the headers unless the header is just equal to this empty return will break, otherwise we'll keep going. And we'll say we want to extract the agent. We'll say if header dot include user agent. Let's double check that, user dash agent. Then we found the user agent header. We'll say agent equals header dot split, and we'll get the second value, and that'll be our agent. Okay. So we'll say agent equals nil, and then down here we can put the agent. We can put the agent dot length, and we'll just have it set to set it nil. We'll just have it an empty string, so that'll work. Okay, let's see if that works properly. That just handles those headers a little better. Okay, looks like this put statement is wrong, so let's restart. Send another request. Okay, looks like we got a 200. It's got a 200, so let's go ahead and push it and see if that works. Okay, see our tests are running, and we can see they failed. And let's see what happened here. We expected the content length to be 17, but we got 20, so it looks like we're not removing 3 characters, so we're probably not removing, let's see, so let's go ahead and just trim this just to make sure. Ruby trim. Okay, so let's strip it. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so we'll go back to our CodeCrafters, and it looks like we got those to pass. Cool, so we'll mark it as complete. Go on to the next stage. All right, at this point, we want to have concurrent connections. So we want to support multiple connections at the same time. All right, so let's see how we can handle this. So right now, we loop, wait for connection. So our server might actually already work because we've already stuck it in this loop. So let's just check and see. Let's go ahead and push up a change. So I'm just gonna remove that, push up a change. Okay, and let's see if our server actually already works with multiple requests. And it does not, so it looks like no content received. Okay, it looks like this is probably blocking here, so each request is being handled one at a time. So if we go back to our TBC socket, okay, if we come back to our server, let's look at some of the methods here, see what we can use. Okay, so we can see here, what we're doing is we're just making one client like this, but we need to stick it in a thread. So let's go ahead and copy this right here, come over here, put it in our loop. And so we want to do all of this within each loop. So we'll copy everything we have inside here, like that, and we'll stick it in this thread loop, like that. And this should allow our server to handle multiple requests at the same time. And then let's just format it a little bit. Okay, so that should work. Let's go ahead and just restart it and test it. curl. Okay, cool. So that still works. And we've got, get rid of that line right there. And okay, great. So move that line. We were just blocking on that, so we'll restart. Make the request. Okay, it looks like it works. So let's push up. Okay, and we'll see if our tests pass here. All right, mark that stage as complete. Go on to the next stage. It looks like in this stage, we're going to return a file, and we're also, in the next one, we're going to learn how to read the request body. But that's all we're going to do for this video. If you want to see more content, you can go ahead and look out for the second video in this series, and we'll finish up this lesson. But for now, that's everything. Hopefully you were able to follow along on CodeCrafters, and let me know if you have any questions, but thanks for watching the video.